This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(1:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira, read by Saunthi Thavam. Pfizer jabs rolled out from tomorrow as the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The COVID vaccination program commences for school teachers and non-academic staff from tomorrow. Jayantha Katagoda gives up his MP seat. DIG Ajit Rohana says 2 more suspects have been taken into custody over the sexual exploitation of a 15-year-old girl. The strike commenced by 13 health trade unions continues today as well. In world news, Cuba reels as the tropical storm Elsa moves towards Florida. The first batch of the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus jabs Sri Lanka received yesterday will be rolled out among those who were inoculated with the first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Thereby, people over the age of 55 years who received the UK-developed vaccine for the first dose will receive a shot of the Pfizer vaccine as a second dose, General Shavendra Silva noted. Vaccinations are expected to be carried out in Colombo 1 to Colombo 15 from tomorrow, according to the Army commander. He added that the date, time and venue will be informed to the vaccine recipients via an SMS. A consignment of 26,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines purchased by the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation SPC arrived in Sri Lanka last morning. Sri Lanka is expecting 26,000 more doses of the Pfizer vaccine next week and another 60,000 and 90,000 more in the 3rd and 4th weeks of July. This is also reportedly considered the first time a country in the South Asian region has purchased the Pfizer vaccine, which is manufactured in the United States. The COVID vaccination program will commence for school teachers and non-academic staff from tomorrow. This program will be continued for 2 weeks. There are more than 279,000 employees in this field. The Ministry of Education says that providing of vaccines to the employees of the Ministry of Education, Examination Department and the University Grants Commission will begin from tomorrow. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda has handed in his letter of resignation from his post as a Member of Parliament. Reportedly, this was to make way for Basil Rajapaksa to enter Parliament as a Member of Parliament. Katagoda handed in his resignation to the Secretary-General of Parliament this morning. DIG Ajit Rohana says 2 more suspects have been taken into custody over the sexual exploitation of a 15-year-old girl. One of the arrested has been identified as a 41-year-old cardiologist serving at a well-known hospital in the suburban area of Colombo, the police spokesman added. Reportedly, he was arrested this morning in Bandaragama on charges of the procuration of a minor. Meanwhile, the other suspect, a 33-year-old, who acted as a procurer in the said child sex trafficking ring, was apprehended yesterday. The 2 suspects will be produced before the Colombo Magistrates Court later today, the police spokesman further said. The new development has brought the total number of suspects currently in custody over the relevant incident to 34. Meanwhile, special investigations were initiated to identify other such websites that are involved in sex trafficking, the police spokesman noted, speaking further on the matter. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The strike carried out by 13 health trade unions is being continued today as well. The Supplementary Medical Joint Trade Union stated that the strike will be continued today due to the discussion held with the government being unsuccessful. The patients are affected severely due to this ongoing strike. Meanwhile, the vaccination program is being conducted in 15 centres with the support of the Tri-Forces. Specialist Dr. Hemantha Herath requested the employees who are engaged in the strike to report for duty. Minister Rohitha Abegunawardena says that Basil Rajapaksa has creative leadership needed to overcome the challenges faced by the country. He has rendered a yeoman's service to build up the present government. Minister Abe Gunawardena told the SLBC that he is a leader capable of taking significant decisions for the betterment of the country. Justice Minister Ali Sabri said that Basil Rajapaksa is a dedicated leader in launching several development programs such as Divi Naguma. The Department of Railways says that several trains have been added for transportation. These trains will be operated on main lines and coastal lines without violating travel restrictions. Trains have been deployed for operations between Veyangoda and Colombo Fort and from Alutkama to Fort. That's local news.
The largest bonus declared in the history of the Sri Lankan insurance industry. Sri Lanka Insurance Grand Bonus, an unmatchable bonus of 8.6 billion rupees only for Sri Lanka Insurance life policy holders from the nation's largest insurer. Call 0112 357 357 for more details. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Minister of Environment has advised the Central Environment Authority to look into the truth of the allegation made by the international organisation that Sri Lanka has become the 5th country among the world releasing plastic and polythene to the ocean. According to that report, Sri Lanka releases a per capita daily amount of garbage of 5.1 kilograms. But the Central Environment Authority has pointed out that there is no truth in this statement and it is at 0.5 kilograms and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the PCR testing has been obstructed due to the ongoing strike launched by several sectors of the health services. Therefore, the innocent public has to suffer. Obtaining of biosamples and conducting of PCR tests were also hindered. Deputy Health Services Director General Specialist Dr. Hemantha Herath said that there is a possibility of the spread of the COVID virus in society. He has pointed out that it is unfortunate to engage in a strike at such a moment. That came to you in Watchlight, and moving on to a bulletin of world news. Making headlines, Cuba reels as tropical storm Elsa moves towards Florida. Rescuers search for dozens still missing in Atami. Planting extra trees will boost rainfall across Europe. After causing devastation in the Caribbean, tropical storm Elsa is moving north towards the Florida Keys. More than 100,000 people in Cuba were evacuated before Elsa hit yesterday, causing mudslides and flooding rains. In the recent days before, the storm passed over the Dominican Republic and St. Lucia, killing 3 people. Officials in Florida have said they are very hopeful that they won't have to pause rescue efforts at a site of a collapsed building in Miami. The demolition of the partially collapsed apartment block has been brought forward for fear that Elsa might topple the building in an uncontrolled way. Officials in the city of Atami in central Japan have confirmed the safety of 41 people, but dozens remain unaccounted for after deadly mudslides tore through the resort about 90 kilometers from Tokyo at the weekend. As the search for survivors continues, 4 people have so far been confirmed dead. A torrent of mud ripped through the city of Shizuoka Prefecture on Saturday, washing away about 130 buildings, including many homes. Rescuers are ramping up their search efforts as families and friends anxiously await news. Planting extra trees to combat climate change across Europe could also increase rainfall, research suggests. A new study found that converting agricultural land to forest would boost summer rains by 7.6% on average. The researchers also found that adding trees changed rainfall patterns for downwind of the new forests. The authors believe that extra rain could partially offset the rise in dry conditions expected with climate change. Back to the headlines of the world news. Cuba reels as tropical storm Elsa moves towards Florida. Rescuers search for dozens still missing in Atami. Planting extra trees will boost rainfall across Europe. That concludes world news, and looking at development news, remaining committed to further expanding the coverage to deep rural communities across the nation, Dialogue Axiata PLC, the widest network in Sri Lanka, inaugurated the Gamata Sannivedana initiative by the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka in Ratnapura. Dialogue aims to enhance coverage to deep rural communities through 450 additional towers, including the TRCSL's Gamata Sannivedaniya project in the next 6 months, targeting 100% population coverage. That's development news, and looking at sports. 17 countries, including Bangladesh, have agreed to host the ICC cricket matches to be held during the 2024 and 2031 period. During this period, 2 ICC Championship cricket tournaments, 4 2020 matches and 2 Championship ICC trophies and 8 matches of one-day and T20s are scheduled to be held. The ICC Cricket Institute has invited the cricket member countries to present their basic technology proposals in this regard. That came to you in sports news. Business news up next.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
India's consumer digital economy, which is pegged at 85 to 90 billion US dollars in the calendar year 2020, is expected to become an $800 billion market by 2030, according to reports released by the consulting firm Redseer at its flagship event Ground Zero 5.0. The digital economy includes 60% of travel, 40% non-grocery retail, 30% of education, 25% of food and beverages services, and 6% of pharma grocery going through digital channels by the calendar year 2030. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
On to economic news, Sri Lanka will achieve an economic growth rate of 4.5% for 2021 and will improve this to 6% by the end of 2022, said State Minister of Finance, Capital Markets and State Enterprise Reforms Ajit Niwad Kabral yesterday at a special press conference held in Colombo. They were anticipating posting a 5% growth rate for 2021, but failed to achieve this target mainly due to the prolonged lockdowns of 66 days. That's economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says showers of thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern, southern and central provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places. Showers of thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere in the evening or night.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. Pfizer jabs rolled out from tomorrow as the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The COVID vaccination program commences for school teachers and non-academic staff from tomorrow. Jayant Kattagoda gives up his MP seat. DIG Ajit Rohani says 2 more suspects have been taken into custody over the sexual exploitation of a 15-year-old girl. The strike commenced by the 13 health trade unions continues today as well. And Cuba reels as tropical storm Elsa moves towards Florida. That concludes this afternoon's news broadcast.